Hello everybody, how are you today? Hope you're fine. Today I'm going to start a new lesson or a new chapter about the classification of the living organisms or living things. We have a many groups and a many like a species among us. So the scientists tend to classify them into groups. So it will be easy to study them. Okay, so the question do we have now, what are the living things and how they are classified? How we can put them inside the group. Classify, which means to put the living organisms in a group. So what are the key vocabulary? We have the first one, cell, organism, trait, photosynthesis, spore, seed. Okay, so let's identify each one of them. So the cell, it is the smallest unit of the living material. As you know that if we have a building, so the building unit of the building is going to be what? Is going to be the bricks. Okay, so the cell, it is the building unit of any living thing matter. Okay, so the building unit of the plant is the cell, the building unit of the human is the cell, the building unit of the animal is the cell. Okay, what is the organism? It is the living thing that carry out five basic functions of its own, and we are going to know what are the five basic functions in the living organisms. Okay, so they carry out the five basic functions. The trait, which means the characteristic of the living organism, something that the organism special about or have it. Photosynthesis process, it is a process that plant use the energy from the sun to make its own food from water and carbon dioxide. Spores أو spores or spore, one of the cell in the seedless plant that grow into a new organism. So spores, which mean the organism that doesn't have a seed. The seed, it is an undeveloped plant with a stored food sealed in a protective covering layer. So let's know the first thing we have now, which is the cell. So what do you see in this picture? So this picture, it is consist of the cell. Is it something you have seen before? Each one of these boxes is so tiny and you can only see it through the microscope. So we cannot ever see the cell with our eyes or with our naked eyes, but we have to see it under the microscope, which makes the things more bigger and clear. Okay, so how we can see, we just take a slide of the onion and put it under the microscope so we can see the cells inside it. So we have to draw like onion plant, labels on its part, how much part help us to stay alive, and ask the teacher to cut the plant lengthwise, just put it on the cover and put it under the microscope so we can see the cells of the onion. How did your observation change as you looked more closely? What do both onion skin and leaf stem seem to be made of? Okay, so we are going to explore what they are made of. So what are the living things? We said the living things, they have the five process. They do the five process. So the main idea of this lesson, so cells are the basic unit of life. This is the basic unit of the living organisms. And we said the vocabulary we are going to learn, which is cell, oxygen, organism, tissue, organ system. So you know that the plant and animals are living things. And how do you know? When I say about something is a living thing. For one thing, plants and animals have cells. A cell, it is the smallest building unit of the living matter. Ant, onion, plant are made of cells, and you are too. Okay, so all of the things around us is made of cell. Okay, so again, so it is what is a cell? It is a very important definition. The cell, it is the smallest building unit of the living matter. It's like the onion, it's like the ant. Okay, so in case we don't know what is the meaning of the cell, I have to know it's just the building unit. When I put cell beside cell beside cell, it's forming the living matter. So living things have needs, and we said the meaning of the word need, that the things that we cannot live without. So living things may have millions of cells. It may only have one cell. Sometimes uh, living organisms, they are very complicated and they are made of different cells. So I call them multicellular. So multicellular organisms, their bodies consist of different kind of cells. And other living organisms, they consist of only one cell. In any case, all living things have needs. They need water, they need food, they need a place to live, they need oxygen, a gas in air and water. Okay, so again, the cell, they are the smallest building unit of the living matter. All the animal and plant, they consist of cells. Living things, they have needs, they have things they cannot live without. If there was not water or food or air or place to live, they will die. Some of the living organisms, they consist of many or million of cells, so I can call them multicellular organisms. And other kind of organism, they are consist of only one cell, so we can call them unicellular organism. Living things reproduce. How they can reproduce, which means they are producing more baby, more of the same kind. So scientists use the word organisms in a place of living things. An organism is a living thing that carry out five basic jobs of or life functions. One life function is for organisms to make more of their own kind. The birds below are so we have here the albatross, which is a kind of the bird, and the chick is their offspring. So we have here albatross, it is a bird, and we have the chick, it's the offspring or the baby. The offspring is a term that used for the young of the living things to make more of one kind to reproduce. Okay, so the baby is going to be the offspring, and this is the parent who is giving the new offspring. Living things reproduce, which means they give like another member of the same kind. Living things can grow, which means they are getting bigger. Okay, so other life functions, we said they are or they can reproduce and they have needs. What else? Other living organisms functions as the snake grow, it gets bigger. It sheds its skin. As we see, it sheds its skin. Not all organisms shed their skin, but they have a different way of growing up, but they all grow and develop. How do organisms get energy from growing? They use food. So, of course, the living organisms, in order to get the energy, they just use the food to get the nutrients from the food so their body can grow and survive. So we have the woodchucks eat flower, which is kind of food for it. Plants make their own food, and after they eat, the organisms must get rid of the waste. An owl pellets show what the food an owl ate. Okay. Lastly, all living organisms react to changes. Okay, so lastly, all organisms react to the changes in their environment, and why all of the sunflower in the photo facing the same way, like all plants, they grow toward the light. So they have something special, that the sunlight growing and exposing to the sun. Okay, so we have here how I can know if is it a living thing or no. I will ask myself, does it grow? Does it use food to get energy? Does it get rid of their waste? Does it reproduce? Does it react to the changes in their environment? Okay, so if my answer is yes, it will be a living organism. So again, does it grow? Does it get bigger? Does it use the energy to grow? Does it get rid of their waste? Does it produce? Does it react with the changes in the environment? So if my answer is yes, so it is a living thing. Okay, living things use, we said, the energy for food, and they get the waste from their body. Living things react to the changes that happen to their body. How do plants and animals compare? We have already that the basic unit of life or living matter, they have like cell, which is a basic building unit. So in order to compare between them, we have to say the similar things in the plant cell and in animal cell. And we are going to say them in the next session. See you.